Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the CSL video instructional series on running the sound booth. Today's topic is a biggie. I'll probably divide it into parts 1 and 2 because it's such a biggie. Today we are looking at the soundboard. So let's take a look, shall we? There it is in all its glory. So intimidating. So intimidating. But it's actually pretty easy once you get a handle of it. It's not unlike the game Battleship, which you know has rows and columns, and you just match up the row and the column, and then you know what you're doing. So let's take a look. This is where all the different audio that we have is controlled, whether it be piano, the podium microphone, the handheld microphone, Reverend Kathleen's over-the-ear microphone, everything is here. And if you look, each audio track gets its own column. So for example, column 1 is Reverend Kathleen's mic, column 2 is the podium, column 3 is the handheld, column 4 is the soloists. When we have a guest soloist, their vocal mic. My vocal mic is 5. And then these two are my silver keyboard. This is the piano keyboard. This is the soloist's instrument, like Terry Furlong if he has a guitar. This is where you get that. This sub, we'll get back to that. This is the Blu-ray when we play CDs or videos. And this is for the amount of reverb, the effect we put in the microphones. So, in other words, if I want to control something in Reverend Kathleen's channel, it's going to be everything in this row. If I want to control anything about the sound in the handheld, it's going to be in this column, all right? And so it's the same. Each column goes all the way up, and it's just for that column. So you have to be careful. You got to be kind of careful, or else you might accidentally start moving knobs in the wrong column, and so it won't get the desired effect you want. Instead, you're totally messing up something else. So you kind of have to be careful that you're lining up the column correctly. So let's actually look at what's in a column. Starting down here at the bottom, this slider is going to control the volume of that channel. So we're looking at Reverend Kathleen's over-the-ear mic. This will control how loud or quiet it is. Let's look at these buttons. These buttons are very, very important. You'll see if it's out, look carefully. If it's out, you'll see a little band of white. If it's pushed in, you can't see the white. That's how you know if it's on or off, okay? Ta-da! Okay, so up here, this solo button means if you push that in, that means all the other channels are silenced except for hers. In other words, you're listening to her solo, and you'll see that green light comes on when it's soloed, so you'll know that something's up there. These three are very interesting. This left-right button needs to be pushed in for the sound to go out of the speakers. This 3-4 needs to be pushed in for her to be recorded on the video that we make. And this needs to be pushed in for her to show up on the audio recording on Audacity, which we'll talk about in a different video. And some of you already know what that is. Now, above that is a mute button here. And when the mute button's pushed in, the red light comes on, and that means she is muted, and she is not. It makes it so none of her sound is going past this board. It's muted right there. Above that is the pan, and that decides whether you're going to the left speaker, the right speaker, or right down the middle. Obviously, in most cases, we go right down the middle. These next things up, this is the EQ for her voice, and it's just like on a car stereo, bass and treble. If something sounds too boomy, you take some of the lows out, or too muffled. If it's too muffled, sometimes you take some of the mids out, and if it's too tinny, you take some of the highs out. These two yellow knobs we don't use at all, so they're stuck on 0. These next two, the red ones, are very important. This first one is the monitor level, and that sets how much of her voice goes into the monitor up here. Matter of fact, let's go up here and take a look. Come on, let's go. Oh. That red knob decides how much volume of her voice is coming out of this speaker back at her so she can hear herself. By the way, that also is the same for this one. So it's the same in both. It's just something to be aware of. Now, keep in mind, if someone on stage says they can't hear themselves, you don't turn them up in the speakers, you turn them up in the monitor. So that's the knob you use for that. And again, that's this one right here, the monitor. This next one is the amount of reverb that each channel gets. So in the case of Reverend Kathleen, if you want to give her just a little bit more ambiance and a little more, sounds like she's in a space as opposed to just being in a dry room, you just up that a little bit. So monitor is the top red one. This is the reverb. EQ are these knobs. Pan, and that's almost always straight up the middle. Volume, and I already talked about these. These are generally left alone. You generally will never have to deal with those. This top one is the main gain. And again, that's one that's generally does not have to get messed with. Okay, so, and again, the controls are the same for each column. So I've been talking about Reverend Kathleen's microphone, but if I need to do something, say, with me, my microphone, if I say, I can't hear myself very well, I would go up to the monitor and turn it up just a little bit. And you see I have a little reverb on mine already from last time. And look, the highs on the EQ are jacked just a little bit to give me a little bit more high end, a little more clarity. You see that all these buttons are pushed in, so I'm going out through the speakers. I'm going on to the video if need be, and I'm also going into the audio recording. And you just control them. Go to the column if someone's asking for something, and then you go up to the appropriate thing up here and dial it in. And that is your introduction to the mixing board. I'll do a part 2 on the mixing board because there is more to talk about, including some troubleshooting tips, and we'll do that next time. Thanks for watching. See you at the next episode.